I went out to the common area, and there was this young man. I later found out he was about 15 years old. And he was all dressed in black. He was sweating. His eyes were going everywhere. I said, "Are you okay?" And he said to me, I need to get to a Catholic church. I said, "Well, what's wrong?" He said, "I've been involved with the occult." He says, "I've been having bad dreams. I hear voices telling me to kill my mother and rape my sister." So we begin praying over him. Just praying to God's healing love and touching and so forth. I don't know that this man necessarily has diabolical activity. He may or may not. He may be experiencing some psychological problems. I don't know. But prayer is always good. And so we started praying over him. He began to convulse, moving his arms back. He began to talk in a guttural tone. And then his face began to change. Physiognomic changes to the face. He looked different. Don't ask me how, but he looked different. He looked almost animal-like in his appearance, cursing at us, spitting at us, and we're just start praying. Of course, you pray a little bit harder as this thing goes on. All of a sudden, he steps back from us and turns his back away from us and walks toward the wall. So we're praying, and at that point, he rolls his shoulders back like this, tucks his head in, and then completely goes over back, so that really, it's almost like he's like this, U-shaped. And then almost like hydraulically, he moves his hands back like this, and now he's sort of over, and then he flips his head out. His head's tucked in. And there is what later I learned is called the sardonic grin. His face changed. It looked like hatred and amusement at the same time. I had never seen anything like this in my life. And the priest takes out the holy water and whoosh, like that, and all of a sudden he flops down, he goes, "It burns, it burns, it burns." Eventually he just looks up at us, his face changes back and says, "What am I doing here?" A few days earlier, I was in my bedroom getting changed, and I was saying to myself out loud, you know, of all the Latin I've taken, I can't pray in Latin because I have to do a translation on the fly, and it's hard for me. I don't know why I said that, but just bear that in mind. And all of a sudden he says, "It's happening again, it's happening again." And he takes his nails and he begins to scratch himself like this. He pulls his hair like this. And the priest goes to hit him with holy water. And he turns to him in this guttural tone and goes, "You're out." He goes like, "No, I'm not. You're out." Now, there was a little in there, but it wasn't getting on it. So the priest had to reload. He had to run over and reload the holy water. Meanwhile, he turns to me and then does a string of Latin to me. I was surprised. I didn't expect him to see. He's a 15-year-old kid. Not a Catholic kid. Just a kid. He's a Baptist kid who was told to run to the nearest Catholic church. And so he says that, and the last word I heard from him out of that string I caught was mortis, which means death. And then he looks at me and he goes, "And you can't even pray in Latin." And he went up and he went to grab me, and I put my hands up and I pushed him down. And I said, "I rebuke you." And he looked at me and said, "You? You rebuke me?" And I'm like, "In Christ's name, I rebuke you." And eventually, again with more holy water, he came out of it.